Hi, Dr. Carr here, coming to you from Secret Cove, past the Point of Rocks, a place you can get to only by bike and by foot. I'm here on a Thursday morning at low tide. It's super magical. This is the part of the week that I look forward to the most, that I protect the most. I work really hard, probably too hard, Mondays, well, actually Sundays through Wednesdays, so I can protect this time for myself in my secret cove by the sea. Ostensibly, this is time for poeting, but I wanted to share some of this time with you, mostly because the end of the term just seemed strange and abrupt, and I wanted to give you one more gift as you go out into a world that is strange and stressful, full of change, full of unknowns. So as I'm thinking about this message, I wanted to share a little bit of history with you. My last job, which I had for 6 years, was the program director of a low residency MFA in creative writing. It was like similar to my job here. It was my job to have a vision for that program and then build it and realize it. And so my vision for that program was that students would really, in addition to learning the craft of creative writing, the history of literature, getting a sense of the landscape of contemporary creative writing, they would also have an opportunity to really build a collaborative, collegial, supportive community with creativity as the focal point. So as I built that curriculum, every decision that I made as the person who was creating that program, came from that desire that in this MFA program, we would create the ideal conditions for students to support each other, to help each other grow, as opposed to competing with each other. The culture of the MFA program is highly competitive because of a lack of resources, because there's the pervasive attitude is one of scarcity. And what I wanted to do in the MFA I was building for those students was to create a culture of abundance. So those MFA students were in the program for 2 to 3 years, which means each student, I worked with them intensively and intimately for 2 to 3 years. So these 16-week terms feel very strange to me. They feel short, they feel abrupt, they feel truncated. I worked very hard to create the ideal space for you to do what I wanted my MFA students to do. So to build a community that is supportive, that is collaborative, that is compassionate, with, again, creativity as the focal point. And I feel like we have done such beautiful, amazing work this semester, and now it's over, and we're going our separate ways, and it feels too soon, because the creative process does not limit herself, quite frankly, to the academic calendar, nor should the community that y'all have created. So I hope, it is my dearest, deepest hope that y'all continue these communities that you formed on your own without me. August through the end of November, so the beginning of August through the end of November. I almost tripped on a rock there, but don't worry, I'm okay. August through November, January through May, I spend an extraordinary amount of energy, attention, where attention is an act of love, and time, creating and holding space for y'all. December, June through July, that's my time, where the creative space that I hold is for me, and just for me. So that's why I'm encouraging you to, before you go your separate ways throughout the month of December, think about how can this community that you've experienced in the classroom that I held for you, how can you now extend that into your everyday lives? How can y'all continue that community without me? It's one of the most beautiful I think, communities you'll ever experience. One that has creativity as a focal point and that is committed to collaboration, compassion, creative growth. I'm thinking about this for a lot of reasons, partly because that is something I do have to do in my everyday life, because as a creative, I've been relatively itinerant. The longest I've ever lived anywhere since I was your age is Oregon. I lived there for 6 years, which to me seemed forever. And while I was in Oregon, that's what I've been thinking about. While I was in Oregon, I intentionally cultivated a creative community for myself that was comprised of people who, for the most part, did not consider themselves to be creative, or who didn't identify as creatives in, like their real lives, let's say. So this community was comprised of, a yoga teacher, a hairstylist, a pilot, a mathematician, a librarian, a newspaper editor, a social media manager. I know I'm forgetting some folks, but you get a sense of that list. So I wanted to invite them to be creative with me when I socialized with them. I almost wanted to trick them into playing, I guess, playing like poets do. So I started inviting them over for what in my mind were poetry parties, but what I told them was a more normal kind of gathering, right? And then I would curate some kind of poetic happening and basically force them to engage in it. In the beginning, right? In the beginning, they were a little like, what is happening? We thought we were going to come over and eat some appetizers and drink and listen to music, right? Like humans normally do. And some of them might have felt like it was homework at first, but very quickly they all came to look forward to these occasions as opportunities to spark off each other's imaginations. So for example, I made a poetry board game, and I would invite them over to play my poetry board game. I also created these collaborative crossword poems. So I would invite them over and we would play with my collaborative crossword poems. That's something that I miss so fiercely now that I'm here in Florida. I have not yet been able to cultivate that kind of community for myself, partly because when I first moved here like a little over a year ago, year and some change. When I first moved here, I was just really focusing on the job. And then there was COVID-19 and we were in quarantine. And as I know, many of y'all know, it's really hard to move across the country and build a community while everyone's in quarantine. So that's something I've been missing fiercely. And recently, as I mentioned to some of y'all, I had some misogynist experiences that left me feeling angry, I think also full of grief, alone, like I had a lack of agency, maybe a little bit like I wanted to give up, but I don't give up. So what I did was call on that group of people, that community I had cultivated back in Oregon, and I invited them and some of y'all to collaborate with me on a spell. And that has been such a beautiful gift. I guess what I really gave myself, right? Like sort of a self-curated gift of creativity and community. In fact, right now, one reason why I'm maybe digressing a little bit or repeating myself is because I'm currently collecting ingredients for the spell. And I wanted to make this recording for you while I was collecting those ingredients because I wanted to be like in that energetic space and share with you the delight it gives me to, I want to call this like a self-curated moment of joy because it's something that, I created an opportunity for myself to be joyful during a time when I, like you, I'm stressed, exhausted. The unknown, the stress of this moment is certainly burning tiny black holes in the back of my brain. But that's not where I'm choosing to be today. So that is my gift to you. I encourage you as you go out into the world to self-curate these kinds of moments. And again, to maintain the community that was initiated in our classes this term. Of course, I hope to work with each and every one of you again and trust that whether or not you're in one of my classes, you won't be strangers. In solidarity and with gratitude, Dr. Carr. P.S. I totally forgot the original reason I wanted to make this recording for you, which is because this spot where I'm at my secret cove, this is where I came before the term began to make those recordings about my homework philosophy. Anyways, all of those like videos that you watched at the beginning of the term, I came here to make those recordings. So for me, this is, I don't know, coming full circle in terms of where I started energetically. The kind of energy I wanted to give to you at the beginning of the term. I'm here again, hoping to gift you that spirit of serious whimsy, of passion and play. Okay, that's all for now, I promise. I'll see y'all on the other side of December.